Okay. Hi guys, so this is going to be a slightly different video to the one that we usually do. It's just to bring you up to speed with where we are as far as travelling to Portugal in a few weeks' time. So firstly, I just need to put a disclaimer at the beginning of this video. Please forgive me as well, I've got most of this written down on my computer because I want to try and get it as succinct and accurate as possible. Just to explain that, this has happened over maybe the last 4 or 5 weeks for us, and there's been a lot of thinking processes involved. There's a lot of things outside of what I'm going to talk about today, which comes down to your own experiences. But mainly, the disclaimer is, this is what we found out for our situation and how it affects us. This is what we decided to do based on this information, and your situation may be very different, so please do your own research. We are definitely not experts at this. Okay, so just to try and kind of bring it into perspective, the rules for driving in Portugal as a tourist are quite different to the rules for a resident. And that is where we got caught out, because the information is difficult to find and sometimes a little bit difficult to interpret. We were under the impression that we could take our minibus to Portugal for a maximum of 6 months in any 1 year. But now that we are resident in Portugal, we have to start the import process of that vehicle almost immediately. The process of importing that vehicle is known as matriculation, and it's where you, as a resident, are entitled to import one UK vehicle into Portugal tax-free. There are a lot of rules within matriculation, and it's a really good thing, but it's not for everyone. And it was definitely not something that we were going to be looking for our minibus conversion. However, in the description of this video, I'm going to put a link to a really good video. It was both informative and entertaining, which goes through quite clearly the process of matriculation, and that might be worth looking at. I'll put a link, as I said, in the description. Just going to scroll down my screen. As I said, I do apologise for reading all of this stuff. So our plan was to convert our minibus so that once we got to Portugal, we had somewhere clean and comfortable to live, so we could hit the ground running with our house and land regeneration projects. However, one evening on a Portugal Facebook page, I asked a seemingly unrelated question about living in Portugal. And then I quickly came to the realisation that now, as we are residents in Portugal, we can only legally drive a UK plated vehicle for a maximum of 20 days. And ideally, the matriculation process should have started within those 20 days. So I'm going to insert here the Facebook comments that I got. So let me just find those. So I'll read them as well, just in case I don't leave them on the screen for too long. So the first one is, if you have residency and a PT licence, you cannot drive a UK registered car in Portugal, even if it is your vehicle, unless you have started matriculation process. That's not strictly true. The PT licence doesn't have anything to do with it. It's really just the residency in this or our situation. Anyway, but nevertheless, it still got me thinking, right. Then there's this one, which is probably the one that was which made me think, right, maybe we do need to talk about this on YouTube. And somebody commented, you wouldn't believe how many residents I've seen driving UK vehicles, UK registered vehicles. and arguing vehemently that they're legally allowed to drive it for 6 months. They got really cross when you tell them that they can't. And somebody replied to that. My local GNR regularly check foreign registrations and sometimes confiscate ones that aren't legal. And I reckon they're right to do so. Then I had this other comment. This was the one, as I said, which was, yeah, I mean, maybe all of them make you think. So I would advise you to sell it in the UK. We have had the exact same issue, and Portuguese customs even came and knocked on our door. They were very good, and they told us that once you are resident, you have 20 days to matriculate it. Whether this is correct or not, that is what they said. Luckily, they let us keep it here for a little while longer until we are able to get it out. We are now taking the van back in the next few weeks. It's a pain in the backside, but it has to be done. You're better off buying a Portuguese plated car van. Hope that helps. Well, yes, it was very interesting, and it got me thinking, needless to say. Let me just find my information. But obviously, that's Facebook, and Facebook can sometimes leave you a little bit confused sometimes, and you have to do your own little bit of research, which I obviously did. So I had a hunt around, and it still wasn't that easy to find the information, in all honesty. It really wasn't. But within a Facebook group that I have now joined, there is some files which you can read. You can download them on PDF, and they do give a very specific information. This particular file I found, it took me 6 pages to read down before I actually found this as a note on the bottom. But I'll read the note on the bottom. And it's, as I said, it took a while to get to this. So it says, a resident in Portugal is only legally allowed to drive a foreign registered vehicle if they own it and it has begun the process of matriculation. So as I said before, matriculation wasn't something that's even, we just wouldn't be able to do that with the van. And the next piece of information, this is from the UK.gov.uk. And it says pretty much the same thing. If you are transferring your normal place of residence to Portugal and you are bringing your vehicle with you, you should start the importation process with the customs authority as soon as possible after you arrive in the country. And it mentions a 20-day stipulation as well. Okay, so that leaves us where we are now. So what we've done is we decided that we were going to sell our minibus because we couldn't justify it being in storage for 11 months of the year or for any time that we come back to the UK for like a month's holiday or whatever it might be. We've also decided to use a smaller and cheaper van to get us to Portugal, which we can then look to sell when we get to Portugal, sell it to someone who's returning to the UK. Or worst case scenario, it sits on our land as a bedroom or a chicken coop. So in our first 20 days, we will be looking at purchasing a Portuguese registered vehicle to drive in Portugal. That's our situation at the moment, where we are now. Yeah, that's where we are. So just to reiterate, this is what we found out for our situation and how it affects us as residents in Portugal. This is what we decided to do based on this information, and your situation may be very, very different. We are definitely not experts in this process. Also, if you are interested in matriculation, because it is a thing and it is a good thing to do if you can, check out Louise's video in the description at the bottom. Gives a lot of good information. If you're still here at the end and still watching, then perhaps what we're doing is something that you're interested in. So hit the subscribe button. Follow our tiny house renovation and land regeneration projects in central Portugal. It will be lovely to have you on board. Thank you very much for joining us on this video. We'll see you in a short while with a little bit more normal video, and thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you later. Bye bye.